Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It was done to fit in a 10 by 3-inch space, so the black box surrounding everything and that this canvas is on is exactly 10 inches by 3 inches, and a good line thickness for tattoos, though these ones here are rather thin. They're only 0.4 millimeters starting thickness, and that is so when they bleed out a little bit, they'll still be a little bit thinner than these ones, which when they bleed out will, be more like that. But that will still give a good amount of contrast in the design. And should marry nicely to be a tattoo. Um, so as far as some optional stylistic things to add a bit more depth and contrast into this design, I of course added variation in line thickness, and I also made the word don't in the negative, so you'll notice that this is a black circle cutout rather than a white circle cutout, and that's optional. If you prefer the white version, this is what it looks like. I just think, this looks nicer, so I made it like that. Plus, the word don't, like words like don't and not and shouldn't, I like to kind of do in the negative if I'm wanting something with a bit more contrast in it. I could also similarly do this. Actually, this would be way harder to do in the negative because it has too many little dot things and lines that would not be visible. So couldn't do the same trick with that one, but I can with that one because it's a word that works for it. Anyway, some of these outer rings and outer lines are optional, so like this red one here is optional. And I also had a thought about adding an extra ring around the kind of open circle in the middle. So I could put this little red ring around here, but then it gets kind of wide. It goes outside the boundaries of the 3 inches that you said you wanted it to be within. And I don't really want to shrink the whole design because then it gets to be kind of too intricate with how small and how tight the lines are. But anyway, this is my recommended design for the tattoo. And let's go ahead and read it. So let's talk about sentence structure. I broke this phrase up into 4 parts. There's a part here, there's a part here, there's a part here, and there's a part here. And I did them in kind of different styles for each of them just to keep it visually interesting and not look like a bunch of bubbles or all samey. And this word here is the word life, and I emphasized it with a big bold ring around the outside. And it is the word life because if we start at the bottom of this word and we can go counterclockwise, the first letter we hit is this full circle floating inside our word circle. And there's 3 dots in this word. And these 3 dots have to go somewhere onto some letter. And you can tell that they go with this one because this one has lines ending on it. There's the one line here, plus this thick line, which ends both here and here. So that's a total of 3 lines, making it an F. And these 3 dots have to go with some consonant, and the only other one is this one, so that would make it an L. And then our I has a line going inwards. Vowels are these smaller circles, and an I has a line going inwards. And vowels and punctuation look quite similar, except punctuation marks would be on the sentence circle, or between the inner and outer sentence circles here. And things like this get crazy because this looks like it's between the outer and inner sentence circle, except this here, this is actually the word circle broken up. So a sentence can be written with these words unraveled, or as each individual word raveled up in a circle. So this is, then I'm going to turn red. This is the word circle here. And then the sentence circle is the thicker one going around the outside, and these are on our word circles in our letters. Okay. So this sentence here is, and look around only once in a while. Sorry, I don't have it memorized. And look around once in a while, which is our longest like kind of phrase in these. So I wanted to make it visually not super big to kind of have that big to small taper for a forearm, or kind of keep it relatively even if you're not putting it on a forearm. But yeah, this is the and look around once in a while with the comma after it. But yeah, we're working on the word life. Life. And that's that. And this is a big kind of break visually. It's not like in the rules written that to make emphasis on a word, you put a big bold circle around it. But, I mean, if I put a big bold line around a word, it adds emphasis, even if that's not written in the English language. So, yeah. Anyway, life. And then we have this word starting at the bottom, going counterclockwise. We have this circle first. And this is a circle floating inside our word circle. So if you look at the grid above me, it's going to be in the second row, same as the L, except instead of an L with 3 dots, an M has 3 lines attached to it. And the line attachments are where the lines end on the letter. So this little guy, this straight line ending here, this straight line ending here, and the same straight line ending again here, counts as 3 lines. 1, 2, 3 lines on this N. Similarly, there's 1, 2, 3 lines on this S. So M with an O on it, and vowels again are little guys, and an O can be attached on a consonant on the actual letter stem, on the line, like a beat on a string on a consonant. Where an E is centered, so it's centered on the line of the word circle, or it's centered in the middle of a consonant. So here's an E on the word circle, here's an E on a consonant. This is an O on a word circle, not a word circle, this is an O on a consonant, and this is an O floating inside of our word circle here. So if I make this word circle red to kind of highlight things, this is in a different position than this, even though they're both on lines, because this line is from a letter, the letter M, and this is the line from the word circle. Okay, so M-O-V-E-S. A V is a shallow divot with 1 line, and E is centered, like we talked about, and S has 3 lines on it. So that's moves. And then this word circle, we start at the bottom here. We have 1, 2 lines on this one, so that's a P. And then our R is a shallow divot with 3 dots, and E is centered. Here's a T, and there's another T, and then this Y here has 2 dots on it, and a Y crosses our word circle. So that's the word of pretty. And I'm actually going to decrease the thickness of this line. We'll make that our thin one, just kind of add a little bit more depth to it. So, pretty. And then we have fast. F is a horseshoe shape, so this omega shape in the top row, with 1, 2, 3 lines on it, just like this in life, 1, 2, 3 lines on it. This extra one is just to kind of fill some space here. It doesn't really affect the translation because it doesn't end on a consonant stem, and it doesn't connect to a spot on either a word circle or from the sentence circle, so it doesn't look like a quotation mark, a single line quotation mark. Plus, the closest thing to what it looks like is quotation marks, and having a quotation mark here doesn't really matter because this is a quote. So, yeah. But anyway, this little line is extra just to kind of fill in this space here. But anyway, F, A outside our word circle, S, 1, 2, 3 lines on it, and then a T, a shallow divot with no lines ending on it. This line passing through, it doesn't count because it doesn't end on anything. And then we have our period. So life moves pretty fast, period. And that's one little sentence. And then this little sentence, starting at the bottom, we continue around until we hit our first letter, which is an I with the line going inwards. This is another F with 1, 2, 3 lines on it, so if. And then this word circle, here's our thicker word circle, and there is this consonant crossing it, so we're in the bottom row, and there's 2 dots on it, so that's a Y, just like this Y over here with 2 dots. O is inside our word circle, and a U has a line radiating outwards, away from our word circle. So there's the Y, O, U. And then here's a horseshoe shape with 3 dots on it for the D. This is our O floating inside our word circle. An N with 1 line. The apostrophe, 2 lines going from the word circle out toward the sentence circle. And this T is a shallow divot with no dots or lines, so no modifiers. And then an S is a shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 lines. T has nothing on it, again, just like this one. O inside our word circle. And then this P has 1, 2 lines ending on it. So this single line, even though this is clearly just 1 line, but because it ends both here and ends here, it counts twice and is a P. So that's the word stop. So this is if you don't stop. And we have this big sentence chunk here. Our A is outside our word circle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 dots on this horseshoe shape, making it an ND. 3 dots on the L, 2 little O's, and then a K is a full circle with 2 dots. So that's look. A, R with 3 dots, O inside, U has a line going outwards, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 dots again on this ND. And even though this dot isn't in the same little section as these 3 dots, this dot has to go somewhere, and its closest consonant is this one by a substantial a margin as opposed to this one, which is way farther away because there's the O in between there. So that's the 4 dots on the ND. And then O, we have our O inside our word circle, N with 1 line on it. A C is a full circle with 4 dots. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4 dots on it. And the E is centered inside it. So O-N-C-E is the word once. I has a line going inwards, and an N has 1 line on it, just like that one. This is the whole word just a little A outside our word circle. And then we move into our sentence circle here in the middle because you read bottom counterclockwise, outer to inner. And then we have the bottom here. Our first letter is this one. It's a shallow divot with one dot, so making it WH. I with the line going inwards, and L has 3 dots on a full circle, and then E. So WHILE is the word while, and this is our comma at the end of it, which I'm actually going to shift just a tiny bit over here to make it centered in between those. Okay, so there's while. So, and look around once in a while, comma. This last sentence chunk here, actually going to scooch this just to scooch over here, just to make this and this equidistant. So there's the same amount of space there as there. Alright. Here's another word, U. We have a crossing circle with 2 dots. Our O is attached to the Y, but it's internal, like a beat on a string. And then a U has a line going outward. So that's the Y, O together, and the U. This is the letter C because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 dots closest to it. And then an O inside our word circle, a U with a line going outwards, an L with 1, 2, 3 dots, and a D, a horseshoe with 3 dots. So that's could. And then we have 1, 2, 3 lines on this M, an I with a line going inwards, and these 2 S's are done basically the same, shallow divot with 3 lines. And then an I has a line going inwards, and a T is a shallow divot with no modifiers. And then this is our period at the end of it. Periods are not filled in, they're empty in the middle, commas are filled in. So this is a comma, that's a period, and here's another period, because periods are not filled in. So yeah, that is that design. I hope you like it. If you have any questions about it, like if you get it tattooed and you want to get a spell check, send me a message. But yeah, hope you like it. Thanks. Bye.